The difference between the terms iso-osmolar and isotonic has stumped medkids for generations. It's one of those things that when you read, you think you completely understand, but whenever anyone asks you to explain it to them, beads of sweat begin pouring down your face as you question everything you thought you knew. But to start to understand the difference between these two terms, we need to clarify the meaning of osmolarity and tonicity. Osmolarity is the count of all solutes per volume of solvent, measured in moles per liter, while tonicity is the total count of non-diffusible solutes per unit volume of solvent. Simply put, it only counts the non-diffusible stuff, which is what contributes to osmotic pressure, and that's why we call these non-diffusibles effective osmoles, because they're what effectively build that osmotic pressure. So to highlight the difference, osmolarity is referring to all the solutes, while tonicity is referring to the solutes that don't move across the membrane. This is important when we look at the concept of something called an ideal semi-permeable membrane, which is defined as a membrane that only allows water to cross. Unfortunately, the plasma membranes of our cells cannot count as an ideal semi-permeable membrane because they do allow other molecules to cross, such as things like lipid-soluble molecules, oxygen, and even alcohol. And that is why we can't just say that all solutions that are iso-osmolar with the extracellular fluid or the blood are going to be isotonic with them, because now we have to factor in these other things that move across the membrane and not only the water molecules. So to clarify, ideally, only water molecules should be moving in or out of the cell, but ineffective osmoles, these things that can cross across the membrane, these things make everything just a whole lot more complicated. To help visualize this concept, let's look at an example. As you see, this diagram shows us two different vessels, one representing the extracellular fluid, ECF, and one that's representing the intracellular fluid, the ICF. And we can see that in the ECF, we have a solution of 5% dextrose, whereas in the ICF, we have just the cellular contents, like all the organelles and things like that. That little bridge in the middle is representing a semi-permeable membrane, and that's what's going to sort of represent the plasma membrane in this case. 5% dextrose is an interesting solution, because it is actually iso-osmolar with the cellular contents, both being around 300 milliosmoles per liter. But since it can cross the plasma membrane, it really can't contribute to tonicity and osmotic pressure. Hence, it is iso-osmolar, but theoretically acts as a hypotonic solution, because it does hydrate the inside of the cell. And we'll talk more about how it does this later on in the video. So overall, we're going to see the water shifting to the right compartment, so moving to that right direction. We just use the term hypotonic, and we should probably understand what that means before we go any further. Solutions are described as hyper or hypotonic based on the comparative tonicity with the cell's contents. To get an accurate measure, scientists have chosen to use 0.9% saline, something that is isotonic with the cellular contents, as that benchmark. Solutions which contain fewer particles and exert a lower osmotic pressure than 0.9% saline are called hypotonic, and those exerting a higher osmotic pressure are referred to as hypertonic. Now hopefully that made a lot of sense, and if it didn't, I completely relate. Welcome to medicine. But to round off this video, we thought we could quickly run through the three main solutions you need to know and their effects on the ECF and the ICF. The first of the three fluids is 1.8% urea, and this is something you do not want to be putting into your patients because it causes cells to lyse, because urea is extremely diffusible and so just rushes in and moves into the cell and makes it burst from the inside out. Next up, we have 0.9% saline, and it's that thing we talked about before that's used as a benchmark because it's considered something that is isotonic with the cellular contents. It's what we use if we want to increase only the extracellular fluid of someone, because it's something that can't cross the plasma membrane, being a effective osmole, and thus we can just increase the outside fluid without increasing the inside fluid. To round off this list, we probably have the hardest of the three solutions, and that's 5% dextrose. And it's unique in that it has the ability to increase the total body's water level. So not just the ECF, but also the ICF. And it does this because it breaks down into things like water, and so it can slowly get that water to diffuse into the cells and slowly hydrate the inside of those cells. Which is important because if it's too quick, we know the cell cytolyzes, but because it's that gradual sort of increase, you get hydration, but no cytolysis. That's the benefit of it over something like urea, which just explodes the cell from the inside. How it actually accomplishes this feat is that it starts off as initially an isotonic solution, but as the body breaks down the dextrose, it releases that water. And since the breakdown happens gradually, the solution is theoretically becoming more hypertonic at a gradual level, because more water is being presented outside of the cells. This means water starts moving into the cells at a pace that is slow enough to avoid cytolysis. What people sort of struggle to understand is, okay, if it's moving into the ICF, how is it increasing the ECF fluids as well? And you just have to remember that this is all just like a balancing act. When you first administer it, the solution isn't just dextrose, it has water as well. It's only 5% dextrose. And so that water that stays outside is increasing that ECF fluid. But then when you slowly begin to hydrate the ICF, you get that hydration for that as well. And so you increase the total body's water level. So that's a rundown of the main concepts needed when talking about isotonic and iso-osmolar fluids. And yeah. Thank you so much for watching our video. This is our first PSPablo video, so please give us a like if you enjoyed the style of the content or you learned something from this video and you just want more. Please give us any feedback or suggestions you have, because remember, this is all for you guys, so anything you're finding difficult at the moment, any topics you want us to discuss, anything to do with the style of video, just comment it down below or send it to us privately or through Facebook, because we really want your feedback and we really want to be doing more content. If a topic we see is of interest to more than one of you, then we're 100% going to make a video about it. We just love doing this, so please just give us your suggestions if possible. And just a big thank you to the following 3 websites. They really helped out solidifying our content and just, made sure we were saying the right stuff to you guys. As well as obviously all the Monash University lectures from last year. Another big thank you to all my colleagues at the PSPablo team. They're always a great help and just good support. And finally, the biggest thank you should probably go to the YouTube channel Overly Sarcastic Productions. So these guys are amazing. They actually inspired the style of the video and they have really cool content, so be sure to check them out. Enjoy studying and have a lovely day, or as lovely day a med student can actually have.